So the adrenaline you feel inside you is just, you cannot get it anywhere else. It's an amazing experience. There's nothing like it when you actually
If any of you guys want flying lessons, they can contact you. Hello and welcome back, dear listeners, to Careers with Muzi. I'm your host, Muzammil Altaf, and I take you through the twists and turns of professional life, career talks, courses, and university. And today I would like to invite our special guest, who is a pilot, who is none other than Lubna Tofique.
Thank you. Hi.
Lubna Tofique, why don't you introduce us and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, my name is Lubna Tofique. I'm originally from Pakistan and I've been brought up in Qatar my whole life. And I've been living in Said, and I've studied in Kafka Primary School. And then I went on to Pakistan Education Center. And after that I went for my further studies.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning there. You went to Kafka Primary School.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the OG school here.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you went to PEC, which is in Doha.
Yeah, Abu Hamur.
You finished your higher education there, and then you went on to university.
Yeah, exactly.
Where did you go for university?
So for university, actually, I went before going to Pakistan. I studied in Aptech for around a year, I think, and then when I was 18, I left for Pakistan, for Lahore in Q Aviation Academy. Over there, I did my pilot training and all of those trainings.
Okay, so before we start, what did it take, or what were the requirements for you to enter the pilot academy?
Okay, so basically there are a few requirements. For example, first thing you need is the student pilot ride license. For that you need to pass your medical A grade exam, and you need to have a police clearance check. The police clearance check is actually you have to go back to your village. Like, they went back to my village. They checked around, asked around the people, like, if I have any criminal offenses or anything. And then a person came in Qatar to ask my dad and people around. I don't know which people they asked, I'm not sure. But they asked around and to check around, like, what's my... whether or not I have any history of abuse or anything.
Okay. So for you to enter pilot school, they need to do a security background check.
Exactly.
Make sure you're not into some...
Yeah,
okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, so once you're in pilot school, how is the experience there? What do you do? What do you study there? And how long is the course?
Okay, so it depends upon the student, how long is the course. Because the first thing you need is once you're 16 or once you're 17, you can apply for student pilot license and your private pilot license. And after 18, you need your commercial pilot license. Yani you can apply for it and you can fly for it. So basically, the first thing is, after student pilot license, you have to pass 14 of the exams. Those are 14 different subjects. I'll get into it like later. And after you pass those exams, you need to do 40 flying hours. So with those 40 flying hours, you will get your private pilot license. So basically you can fly around any aircraft you want. You can rent out your aircraft, but you will not be allowed to fly commercially. In private pilot license is in the first 10 hours, you will be allowed. You will be told about the basic. How to basically fly an airplane. Those are just basic flight controls, right? And after that, you'll be sent for a solo. Depends on your performance. You can either be sent on 8th hour or 9th, or it can even take up to 15 hours. 15 hours is generally considered really bad. Like, you are considered a bad student if you cannot do it as around 10. So after that, you have to go for a solo. You for example, this is your landing strip, right? You have to go around, you have to make a circuit and then land back. It's around the 15-minute flight. And there's no night flying for, you're not authorized, you cannot fly at night for private pilot license. And then comes the commercial pilot license after that. The commercial pilot license is also the same, it also has the same subjects, the 14 subjects. And you have to pass those exams as well as your flying hours. It's around 140 flying hours, I guess. Yeah, it's 140. So you basically have to complete a total of 190 hours, including your private pilot license hours. So that's it.
Okay, so you said about the flight hours.
Yeah.
Is that while you study, or is it after you have completed the theory and then you go on to your flying hours? Or is it at the same time?
So basically what happens is once you apply for an SPL, by the time you wait for the SPL, the student pilot license, while everything is happening, your medical and your security clearance, you will start studying for the ground classes. You'll start those for the PPL exams, all those 14 subjects, because the security clearance and the medical, they take around 2 to 3 months to happen. So you cannot sit around and waste your time. You're usually doing ground studies. As soon as that's done, as soon as you pass your exams, you'll be sent for flying hours. You'll start to schedule for the hours, and same for the CPL. Since CPL, it does not require any additional information, any additional things. The same 14. And I'm actually talking about all of this in regards to Pakistan's civil aviation. It's very different in Qatar. It's very different in Europe. So while you're doing your flying hours for the CPL, with the 140 flying hours, then you'll have to actually give exams as they keep going on. There's no wait time. There's nothing else. And you have to also keep renewing your medical license each and every year.
So basically, once they get their student piloting license, they can only fly private airlines or only private planes, not commercially.
Yeah, they cannot carry any passengers.
So what kind of job scope is there for private planes?
Nothing.
So it's
just like a hobby. It's
okay.
just a hobby.
Only you can go.
Yeah, only I can
fly.
go. Yeah.
So for you to get the commercial one, you need further training and further flying hours.
Exactly.
So did you do that in Pakistan, or you haven't done that yet?
No, I've done it. I've finished my commercial pilot licensing, and then with CPL, you also get 10 hours extra. That is 190 hours for IR rating. The IR rating means you can fly at night. You can fly only on instruments. Yani you don't have to visually see outside that what's happening. Usually what happens in aircrafts, pilots, they don't look outside at all. So you need the instrument rating so that they can know that yes, this person is knowledgeable and can fly only on instruments.
Okay, we're talking a lot about flying. Can you tell us a bit about the experience about flying? Where have you flown? What was your experience like? What are your favorite planes maybe?
Okay, so basically the only plane I've ever flown is Cessna 172, and it's an amazing experience. There's nothing like it when you actually the best experience is when you go for your solo, and the time you go for your landing, because landing is the most crucial part, right? So the adrenaline you feel inside you is just, you cannot get it anywhere else, because either it's ride or die. Like you can just crash the plane or damage the plane, and it's gonna be all your fault. So anyways, I've been flying from Lahore to Sialkot. The longest I've gone from Lahore is from Lahore to Faisalabad, and then from Faisalabad to Multan, and then Multan to back to Lahore. So that was a 300 nautical mile flight.
Okay, so in these areas, these are flatlands, these are not mountains, right?
Yeah, no.
So you're flying through farmland, you fly to the city,
exactly.
so you can see the whole city.
Yeah, exactly, we can.
So I know Lahore is really big. How is it from the aircraft?
From top. Oh, I can show you pictures, but actually a landmark for us is the Fortress Stadium. Like when we are coming, for example, I'm coming from Faisalabad back to Lahore, right? Since we are visually flying, like I told you, IR is instrument rating, we have to look inside. Since most of the training is visual flying, we have to look outside and have landmarks, and we have to remember those landmarks. For the first one is Gaddafi Stadium, and then there will be the Fortress Stadium, and then there is a church near the landing strip. Then we have to get in line with the church and then go for the landing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after you've flown the planes, now what is your plan now? What are you doing now? Are you still flying planes or are you...
No, actually, after my CPL, I did my FITS, that is Flight Instructor Training course. Usually, what happens is that, right, as a freshie, you don't get a job, right? So, most of the people, what they do in Pakistan usually is that they get a flight instructor license so they can teach people, they can get the experience, and they will start flying for people after like 2 to 6 months after they have given ground classes. So that's what I did. I did my flight instructor course, but unfortunately I had to come back. Those are extra 30 hours you have to pay. So you're basically paying for, if you do the whole thing from SPL to PPL, CPL, and then FITS, you'll be paying for around 240 hours. So, yeah.
So basically what you're saying is you're a certified flight instructor.
Yes.
So if...
I cannot actually fly you, but I can give you ground classes.
Okay. So what's the plan after you've done all of this?
Okay, so the plan was for me was to actually get a job over there, but due to circumstances, I had to get back into Qatar, and I couldn't find a job over here. So what I did was I got admission and I got enrolled in the University of Doha for Science and Technology, previously known as the College of North Atlantic Qatar. Now I'm doing maintenance / mechanical engineering over there. It's very, very similar to, because since we have studied a lot about engines, about drag forces and all of those things, it's very easy for me to grab all of these concepts over here. So now what I'm thinking of doing is that after the fact that I finish my studies in the university, I'll pay for myself to get more experience. I cannot keep relying on somebody else to pay for it. And then I'll pursue my career again in the aviation industry.
So all the juniors watching this, what do you advise them to do? Do you advise them to go to Pakistan and get their license? Or do you advise them to go somewhere else? Or any schools that you really think would be a good idea for them to go to?
No, actually, I do not advise that you go to Pakistan because of the situations happening over there. And because of the flight crash that happened in Karachi a few years back, Pakistan's aviation industry is not very reliable. They can you don't know what's going to happen next, and they can revoke your license. So that's a very risky thing. I would suggest and recommend that you guys, if anyone wants to go, they should research and go into South Africa. I've heard there's a lot of good flight schools and you actually get jobs. For Qatar, obviously it's going to be really expensive. Why? Because the aircrafts over here are glass cockpits. The one I've flown, it's not a glass cockpit, right? It's a normal engine. It's not a turbofan, not a turbojet aircraft. So in Qatar, what happened was, why didn't I enroll here? Because obviously it was really expensive. And the second thing was that a few years back, this happened like around 6 to 8 years ago, what used to happen was the only academy, it's Qatar
Airways?
I forgot the academy's name.
Qatar Aviation
Center, Academy or something like that. Yeah, it's either academy or center. I forgot the name. So what used to happen was they used to get contracts from Qatar Airways. Yani whoever would graduate from that that academy would obviously get a job. But from the last 6 to 8 years, what has happened that people are enrolling to become a pilot, but they're not getting jobs because the contract has been cancelled. So it's not worth the investment now.
So they should go somewhere else, such as South Africa, if they want to pursue piloting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So just a few more questions here. You mentioned that there's not a lot of jobs in Qatar.
Yeah.
So for the people who are coming back to Qatar with the piloting license, they should go where to look for a job?
You should actually go in really small countries like Indonesia, where the terrain or the landscape is really difficult because not a lot of people go there to fly. and you can get experience from there. And then once you have more than 1,000 or 1,500 flying hours, then you can apply in Qatar Airways, because it's really tight market in Qatar, because there's only one airline and not a lot of domestic flights can happen here. So that's what I would recommend. Go to small countries either and fly over there, and then maybe you can come back to Qatar.
Okay, thank you so much for the insight. Just before we go, what do you have any piece of advice for the juniors other than piloting? Doesn't have to be piloting, just in general.
Research whatever you do, talk to people. Like for example, when I was getting into the flight school industry and all of those, everyone used the person who was actually trying to sell me the flight school, he was like, oh, there's a lot of jobs, oh, this, that. I never talked to the actual students. I never talked to the to people who have actually graduated, that what's the job market, what's all that. If I would have done that, I would have saved a lot of my time. I'm not saying it's a bad experience. It's an experience for me, obviously. But I would have saved a lot of time. I would have planned better, and maybe get into a different field maybe. So I wouldn't discourage you guys, but you should go in. The other thing, the other advice I would give you guys is that if you're going to pilot, to become a pilot, you need to get your degree from any university, any degree, along with becoming a pilot, because there's not a lot of jobs for piloting in anywhere. There's not a lot of jobs. And even if you think that you cannot continue, like you cannot study for university and become a pilot at the same time, what I would recommend is that you first finish your university, any degree, anything, get a job, save up, and then do this thing as a hobby, because this can take you a long time, a really long time. Because I've heard of people, they have been waiting for more than 10, 20 years, but they finally get a job. They've been waiting for 10, 15 years, and they get job after so long.
Okay, thank you so much, Lubna, for coming and giving us the insight on piloting, telling us all about the world of aviation and airplanes. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
I hope you guys enjoyed the talk. Don't forget to let me know what courses I should do next. Let me know what information you would like from Lubna. If you want any information, I could leave a link of an email down below.
Yeah, sure.
You can contact her and ask her anything you need to know. Okay. Until then, thank you so much, and